and Meowdy YouTube. Today we are doing some more chat history. This is the embarrassing royal deaths in history. Let's have a good time. Let's go learn about some things. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic time. And Twitch, feel free to say hi to YouTube. And if you guys aren't in my stream, I stream over on Twitch. So if you want to go check it out, link is down below. Let's do it.
This is Louis III, and
Hi,
this
Louis.
is his dad, Louis II, King of West.
Bro, you think the grandfather is called Louis the First? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Francia, also known as the Kingdom of the Franks. Hey, Frank. Hey, Frank. Louis II here is renowned for being a very peaceful and very loving ruler for his very short 2-year reign between the years of 877 and 879.
877 and 879. A 2-year reign? Damn.
He's dead,
Okay.
which is even more peaceful. Now, Louis III is the king-to-be at the ripe old age of 16.
Hi, Louis.
But since his parents married in secret before he was slopped out, his claim to the throne is being questioned. Now, in order to keep things civil, Louis had struck a deal with his younger brother to rule together. And with that agreement, West Francia was split in two. Okay, this is my half, and there's yours. Fine by me. My side has the Xbox.
The actual Xbox.
Louis III got the north, and his brother, Carloman II, got the south. Together, the two brothers fought off any would-be usurpers from East Francia who contested their reign. Battles were fought for over a year with some back and forth, but ultimately ended in a loss, and a portion of their kingdom was ceded to the east. But while East Francia celebrated its victory, a distant threat loomed over the horizon. Those dang Vikings were showing up in 881 and began to pillage the village and plunder asunder. However, East Francia, still riding their high, managed to kick the Viking shit in.
Is this why we have sailing in old school RuneScape now? I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Not wanting to sail their ships home in shame, the Vikings instead tried their luck with West Francia. Bad move. They would soon learn that two kings were better than Vikings. Louis and Carloman went on the offensive and took the invaders by surprise. Together, the brother armies slaughtered the Vikings, cutting down around 9,000 men in the clash. This victory was absolutely huge for the two young monarchs, who were praised by both Western and Eastern Frankish kingdoms. Now keep in mind that both kings were teenagers, so the ego trip was insane. That being the case, Louis took to finding himself a queen, as to produce an heir.
Yeah, but like also teenagers way back when, like this, they were also, you know, the life expectancy was way shorter back then. So it's a little different compared to nowadays, but still same thing. You would still be egotistical after winning such a big war like that, I guess.
And to cement his legacy, Louis decided to pursue love in 882 and ended up quite literally pursuing a potential partner.
His profile says, "I have money, swipe right."
In a bout of hopefully consensual horseplay, the young maiden fled from the eager monarch on horseback to her father's house.
Why are you running?
Louis, very calmly hunting down his love interest, ended up completely conking his dome on the top of a low doorway. That's certainly one way to get ahead.
No! You're telling me that's how he went out? Nah. He just got diffed by a door?
Since he had yet to sow his seed, his younger brother was left to rule on his own. Well, he died 2 years later after being accidentally stabbed by his servant during a hunting trip.
What?
Bummer. It's stories like this.
Wait, hold on. So your brother dies for smacking his head into a door on a horse, and then you die 2 years later because your servant stabbed you by accident on a hunting trip? I don't know if that was an accident. How do you stab someone by accident on a hunting trip? I don't think that one. The first one was death by Horty. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, like, if you're not... I don't know. Maybe... I don't know. Because I feel like you would naturally duck, but if you're not paying attention, then you would, you know, smack into it. So I don't know. And then the other one, like... I don't know. That servant probably just betrayed you. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Make you realize just how stupidly fragile we all are. Just like that, a family lineage is cut short. Imagine if your great-great-great-great-grandmother fell in the shower, completely erasing the possibility of your existence.
That's crazy. Bye-bye.
Your guy probably didn't even know who she was. But he could have, with today's sponsor, MyHeritage.
Oh, nice.
There you go. MyHeritage is the #1.
That was such a good way to do a sponsor. Do you know what? A++ chat history. That was a good transition. Great transition.
Database for discovering your family's history. No need to spit a green glob into an envelope and have your DNA logged for government cloning purposes. MyHeritage is well equipped with over 33 billion records for you to discover, and most of these people are already dead.
Bro thinks they had showers back then.
Stories about your family's history when you can discover everything yourself.
True. I guess great grandma would not be falling in the shower way back when. I don't know. She'd still be falling though, no?
Grandma, what were your parents like? Oh, very abusive.
That's not the only time a king has died via doorframe. Oh, I hope it shows up again. Doorframe public enemy #1?
As long as you can enter some basic information like a name and a date of birth, MyHeritage can cross-reference existing records to fill the gaps. Thanks to their instant discoveries feature, MyHeritage brought me back to my roots.
Chat, we just lost the game. We lost it.
Literally. I apparently come from a long line of fellas with the surname Root who sailed across the pond from England in the 1700s. This is my great grandfather, Captain Joseph Root IV. I bet he never thought he'd be brought up 239 years after his death, but here we are. Quit looking at my dinghy. Ever see this painting before? Well, I don't want to brag, but the artist is my 8th generational ancestor, John Trumbull, also known as the painter of the American Revolution. I'm clearly carrying on his legacy, and I know he'd be proud.
I mean, I was about to pause and then be like, these doodles are pretty good. Like, I do enjoy these doodles. And I paused this frame. I mean, what's not to love about this? Fantastic artwork.
MyHeritage even lets you bring people back from the dead.
Excuse
By enhancing, colorizing, or even animating historical photos of our dearly
I was
departed.
like, excuse me?
Take, for instance, my great-great-grandma's great-great-uncle. Look how great he is.
I was about to be terrified.
So if you want to start branching out and discovering your origins, use my links below to get a free 14-day trial to start building today. I was a bit skeptical at first, but thanks to MyHeritage, I discovered my Argentinian great-grandfather had Germanic roots. Wait a minute.
Basil.
Little Basil I was quite the inspirational success story. Born into a dirt-poor Armenian family in the Byzantine province of Macedonia way back in 811, baby Basil had quite the social ladder to climb. But such a challenge was deemed necessary as he was determined to dodge his destitute destiny. Too bad that he and his family were captured by Bulgarians when he was just 2. Luckily, Basil was able to escape his captors. Just took 23 years.
Jesus.
He sought to live out his newfound freedom and fled to Constantinople, which is not yet Istanbul. Possessing incredible strength and an uncanny ability to roll 20s on any and all charisma checks, Basil made...
Couldn't be me. Do you hear that? Rolling 20s on charisma checks? Couldn't be me. If you've watched me play Baldur's Gate, you know.
Leaps and bounds up that social ladder. He began working as a lowly stable boy, got promoted to servant under a relative of the emperor, met a wealthy cougar noblewoman who just threw money at him, dabbled in sweaty, slippery wrestling, and then took on a gig as a bodyguard for Supreme Empire King Emperor guy Michael III. Now, you'd figure that being
No. That's how you climb the ranks right there. Fantastic.
A bodyguard to the emperor would be a great place to coast until retirement, but Basil was just getting started. He managed to gain the utmost trust of the emperor, even being formally adopted as a son. And taking advantage of this, Emperor Mikey had been convinced by Basil that his own uncle was secretly plotting to take the throne, so he gave Basil permission to address the issue. He did. This false act of loyalty resulted in the emperor crowning Basil as co-emperor, which was not his best move. You see, Emperor Michael III wasn't very good in his decision-making, which is probably why the public didn't favor him all that much. Basil had one last obstacle in the way of the crown: his newly adoptive dad.
Ain't no way, I guess. He really just worked his whole, yeah, I guess.
Nothing a quick swipe of a sword can't fix. Basil dropped the "co" in his title and was now the full-fledged emperor of the Byzantine Empire in 867. Despite having 0 qualifications for the job, Basil's establishment of the Macedonian dynasty brought the Byzantine Empire into a golden age, with various military victories, large-scale construction, and significant cultural and legal
He really just went 0 to 100. He went from nothing to the whole frickin' commander, the leader.
Problem is, when you get into power through murder, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder for the next person trying to do the same thing to you. Now, I'm not going to question the logistics of it, but during a routine hunting trip in 886, the now elderly Basil managed to get his belt stuck in a deer's antlers. Yeah, I don't know.
What?
The animal went wild, as animals tend to do, dragging Basil across the Windows XP default landscape for 16 whole miles. That's at least 2 kilometers. A servant had managed to cut the Emperor free, but the damage was done. Although somehow still alive, the Emperor sustained tremendous injury. The servant, still brandishing his iconic belt-cutting knife, was accused of attempted murder and was sentenced to death. Wait, what?
Damn. Guys, never help the Emperor. You hear this? You see this? How crazy is that? A belt stuck on the antler? Questioning the logistics for sure, but absolute wild.
Emperor Basil I died a bit later from his infected wounds.
I have so many questions too. Listen, I'm not going to be here to question the legitimacy of these claims, because chat history probably did extensive research to figure it out. But still, these are like old, right? Super old. But just to think, that's how he went out. He worked his whole way up. He was kidnapped as a child, worked his way up from the bottom to become the emperor, just to die to a deer. That's kind of wild. A wild little track there.
Old Edmund Ironside was King of England for a whole 7 months in 1016 after his rad dad Athelred II died under unknown circumstances. Poor Edmund rose to power at a pretty bad time. Those gosh damn Vikings were gaining a foothold in England, and they needed a stern talking to at the very least.
Not just any Vikings though, these were Danish Vikings, which were much more formidable.
I shouldn't be laughing, but he made it an actual Danish.
Flaky and flavorful. The 26-year-old king fought back hard against the Viking invaders, throwing whatever English forces he could at them, and saw quite a few victories, granting the king the nickname Ironside for his resilience. But even though he won a few battles, he had yet to win the war. The final conflict, the Battle of Asandin, near modern-day Essex, ended in Danish victory, where there was much rejoicing and many crumbs. Following this English loss, a treaty was signed by King Edmund and Viking King Canute.
Canute, being a real canunt, agreed to allow Edmund to continue his reign, but only with the control of Wessex, the heart of Anglo-Saxon England. All English land north of the River Thames was now under Danish control. Now, there was a special stipulation that stated whichever king died first, the other shall inherit the whole country.
Okay, you have speculations like this, and you have treaties like this, but like I gotta question the like how legitimate is this? You know what I mean? Like I know treaties were really popular, and I bet you some kings and rulers followed treaties. There's so many people who broke the rules back now though. Like there's so many people.
That sounds like great motivation for assassination plots. Lo and behold, just 1 month later in October of 1016, Edmund Ironside met with a terrible fate. While sitting on his second most important throne, an assailant was assigned to assassinate the king's ass. Yep, old Ironsides caught a blade between his cheeks when he was at his most vulnerable. According to some historical sources, an assassin hid under the king's private turlet, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. Edmund, as planned, died of his wounds, granting King Canute full
Nah. The Orchard of Astle? He waited. Okay. I will give credit where credit due. That was kind of genius. Because you would never be expecting that. Right? Like that was kind of a genius way. And the treaty was set up to be whoever died first. So it makes sense. I don't know why you wouldn't. That's crazy though. I couldn't. Oh my god. I can't even fathom that. That's wild.
Control over England, which he ruled for 2 decades.
Henry I.
Being the youngest son of 4 to William the Conqueror, Henry I didn't even have a chance of becoming a burger king, let alone any kind of respected monarch. When Daddy William logged off the server in 1087, the late king's possessions were divided as such. His eldest son, Robert, inherited Normandy and was made duke. His second son, Richard, got nothing. He was dead. From a hunting accident, no less. His third and favorite...
There's a lot of hunting accidents happening back then. And I know there are accidents. Accidents do happen. Suspicious amount of hunting accidents
Son William
happening.
inherited the crown of England and was begrudgingly promoted to King William II overnight. I say begrudgingly because it is believed that William II would have preferred to inherit Normandy. Oh well, finally, little Henry was
What did
given
you get?
lots of money and a tiny bit of English countryside. But that was
Okay.
immediately yoinked by his now king brother, which never caused
Bruh.
any internal resentment in the coming years. Now, some historians believe that King
Why?
William 2.0 didn't care much for his new majestic role, and as a means of escape from his kingly duties, he frequently went on hunting trips. You can probably see where this is going.
Chat, guess where this is going? Who would have thought? Who would have thought this is? Who would have thought?
During one of these trips, William, who wasn't much of an adventurer, took an arrow in the chest. Now, since lungs aren't where arrows are usually
Jesus.
stored, William quivered in pain as the arrow knocked the wind out of him, and he drew his last breath shortly after. Yeah, hunting trips are lethal to nobility. Of course, some historical speculations suggest that the friendly fire may not have been so friendly. It is possible that the fiasco was a plot concocted by Henry to seize the crown. After hearing of his older brother's demise through his own ear holes, Henry speed ran to the royal treasury and no-clipped to the crown to claim the throne for himself, which certainly didn't help dispel the rumors of foul play. Now
Okay. So you hunting accident your brother, and then the very first thing you do is run to the treasury to claim your position as king? Suspicious. Bombastic side-eye.
the public wasn't exactly against what had happened, as King William II was a bit of a dick. As the new head honcho, King Henry I immediately began a rollback on many of his late brother's brutal policies, replacing them with much more successful judicial and financial reforms. Being the most educated of the four brothers, Henry peacefully ruled England and progressed the kingdom during his reign. Sure, he also invaded Normandy and held his last brother prisoner for life, but
You held your... Did you lock up your last brother so they couldn't claim the title? They couldn't assassinate you? Is that why? Wow. Family love, am I right or am I
Beside the point.
right?
Henry eventually married a Scottish princess and had himself 2 legitimate children that he loved very much,
Jesus.
and dozens of illegitimate little crotch goblins whom he didn't.
Daddy, I want a popsicle.
Now, of course, there has to be a little bit of conflict sprinkled in, so his son and only heir got caught up in the White Ship disaster of 1120, which was a titanic tragedy. The titular White Ship, a vessel transporting around 300 people, including many nobles, struck a big old boulder and sank in the English Channel. Only one soul survived, but it wasn't the prince, so who cares? This sent Henry into a depressive spiral, as many of his subjects refused to recognize his daughter as a rightful heir to the crown. A woman ruling? Ugh, gross.
Oh my gosh. I mean, back in the 1100s, right? This is 1100s? Yeah. Women could not rule. That is true. That is very true. That's crazy. The fact, though, that he tried to advocate for her and advocate for her ruling and, like, her position is kind of massive, though. Unfortunately, that's just how society was back then. But the fact that he was like, hey, like, this is my only daughter, she should be the new ruler, was kind of massive. Like, respect to him there, I guess.
Said the
I'll get respect where respect due.
English. In his sad state, Henry cheered himself up the only way a king knows how, with a good old-fashioned hunting trip. But on this trip, Henry gorged himself on lamprey. You know, those weird little wiggly sucking teeth fish? Yeah, apparently those were a delicacy. Despite numerous warnings from his physician to cut it out, Henry continued to chew through the little suckers like candy. Your Majesty, that's a bit much, isn't it? King Henry I
So you were given a warning not to eat these, and then yet you are out here devouring them. Hello?
contracted food poisoning and died from the illness a week later in
What?
1135 at the age of 66, bringing an end to the Norman dynasty.
So he went against his physician's rules, and he ended up just removing himself from the server, I guess, as you would say. Okay, unfortunate. All that work for what?
King Charles II
I'm surprised it wasn't another hunting accident, though, I'm not gonna lie.
was an asshole, which is why history remembers him as Charles the Bad. Having been born and raised in
Charles
France
the
and
Bad.
descending from a line of French rulers, Charles felt destined to be the big baguette in charge one day. And when his mother, who was the only daughter of former King Louis X of France, faded from existence, Charles received his inheritance, the paltry kingdom of Navarre, a pathetic spit of land in northern modern-day Spain. This sad excuse for a kingdom was an insult to his name, an insult he would never forget. Although now a king at the age of 17, Charles continued to spend his time in France, hoping to build enough influence to gain recognition for his claim to the crown. But he wasn't successful. He would spend the next several decades double-crossing, manipulating, and backstabbing his way through life, pitting England and France against each other during the
This sounds like it. This sounds like typical history. Okay.
100 Years' War. He had deceived, murdered, and betrayed for the sake of gaining power.
I don't appreciate this.
He eventually helped spark a revolution in France. No, not the French Revolution. That's not for a while. This uprising was the Jacquerie, a peasant rebellion in 1358 against French nobles. Charles led a suppressive force against the peasants to appear to be the savior of France, but everyone saw right through the ruse. After that publicity stunt, Charles lost almost all political support in France and had to turn to England for help. He ended up pleading with English King Dude Guy Edward III to invade the weakened France and divide the spoils between them, but King Edward was all, no. The king had zero trust for Charles and refused the offer, eventually making peace with
I don't blame you for having zero trust for other rulers or any sort of people back now. I can see why you wouldn't trust really anyone.
France. For now. A few years later, Charles was back on his bullshit, throwing himself in wars and declaring loyalty to both sides in exchange for gaining land and power. He would just favor whichever side was winning. He did get involved in the Spanish Wars between 1365 and 1368, but faked his own kidnapping in order to avoid participating in battle. And that stunt was instantly recognized as cowardice, making Charles a laughingstock of Western Europe. Finally, in 1378, the annoying little fly that was Charlie II was finally swatted. His tiny kingdom was invaded by Spanish forces and promptly wiped out. Charles sought refuge in France and was forced to surrender in shame. Although he retained his crown, he had no power whatsoever. 9 years later in
So he literally just held on to the title, but he had nothing to prove for it. He would be great in Game of Thrones. He probably, I don't know, there might have been some inspiration here for Game of Thrones, who knows?
1387, Charles the Bad fell ill and was pretty much immobile. His doctor prescribed that his body be wrapped in alcohol-soaked linen sheets, and these sheets were sewn around his body each night to promote any healing. Well, one night when finishing up her king sewing duties, a maid had no scissors to cut the last thread of the linen. There were no blades to be found that could finish the job.
So, what do you think she did?
She left to find scissors. She subscribed. Yeah, go subscribe to chat history. I agree. She used a lit candle. She used her teeth. There's no way she used her teeth. She probably used a lit candle, right? Instead of on fire. Oh.
Time's up. The correct answer was B. In a moment of completely terrible judgment, the young maid resorted to using an open flame candle to melt the thread off.
Oh no, honey. God damn, he just got burnt to death. Oh my gosh.
Charles II, who wanted to be a French king so bad, was promptly flambéed in his bed as the maid panicked and fled.
Jesus.
Henry II of France was a decent king between the years of 1547 up until his death in 1559.
What's the definition of a decent king back in these days, though? Honestly.
Nothing spectacular, but decent. He's remembered as an advocate for keeping the Catholic faith in France and suppressing them smelly Protestants. He had quite a few either burned at the stake for heresy or had their tongues cut out so they couldn't talk trash about Catholicism. Perhaps—
Is this why he was a decent king? Is this why? So a decent king is not an actual decent king.
His bigger claim to fame, though, was his participation in ending the Italian Wars, which waged across 65 years. With the signing of the Treaty of Cato Camboises, the deadly wars were finally at an end, and there was much rejoicing. One particular event of celebration was conducted by our subject, King Henry II. To commemorate the end of the wars, as well as his daughter's marriage to King Philip II of Spain, Henry held a jousting tournament.
I didn't finish reading that.
To King Philip II of Spain.
She was 13. Let's throw up here.
Henry held a jousting tournament. You know, that silly medieval sport where two men hold long wooden poles on horseback and just charge at each other trying to knock the other off. Yeah, I don't get it either, but hey,
It's way more entertaining than baseball. Anyway, King Henry II held the tournament on June 30th, 1559 and took it upon himself to participate as a challenger. Perhaps the last bad decision of his life. Set against his own captain of the King's Guard, the two set off to consensually jab their long sticks into each other. With the ASMR pleasures of a wooden crunch, the captain's lance hit its target and shattered upon impact, as their design.
Why would you even go up against your King's Guard leader? You're going up with someone who has probably hella experience in wars and training and yada yada yada, extensive list, insert here. And then you're like a ruler. Like, you probably have experience in war, but you're not going to be as athletic and or built and or experienced as the leader of your guard.
To do. Problem was, some of the splintered wood decided to nuzzle itself right into the king's eyeball for warmth. Oh my god, okay. I'm sorry. You're fine, you're okay.
I hate
Royal
eyes.
surgeons raced to the king's aid, but were unable to treat the wound. He's gonna be okay. Right, Doc? Tough to say. Problem seems to be this big old piece of wood here. I highly recommend he rest up for a few days and we'll see what happens. Are you gonna remove the wood? I'm sorry. I was unaware that you were the royal surgeon. The medics failed to properly treat the king's wounds, which only got worse over the next.
Maybe they just wanted the king away out of the server. Maybe that's why. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna totally treat this. And then they don't treat this because they like their king.
Few days, leading to severe infection. I may have been wrong. King Henry II splintered off from this world on June 10th, 1559. What a bunch of silly stuff, right? I have more ridiculous royal deaths on the list, so if you do want a part 2, let me know in the comments.
There's a part 2!
Remember to click my links below to claim your free 14-day trial with My Heritage and start discovering
part
your
2's probably
family
out
tree today.
too.
Are you descended from royalty? Notoriety? Or are you from a lineage of humble laborers who suffer through centuries of hardships while you struggle to pick up the phone to schedule a dentist appointment? Find out today.
Bro, why you call us out like this?
Some more videos to watch.
The most embarrassing
one.
Oh, it is!
I'll see you over there.
If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down below. If you guys want part 2, let me know down below. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let's do the crown emoji for the royals. Comment down a crown emoji, enter the word crown. It just shows that you watched the video, and I always tell you to do it. It's like a little Easter egg, and I love seeing your comments with it. So do that, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. And if you ever want to catch me live, if you ever want to hang out with me live, go check out the Twitch.